Welcome to Blue by 90, your Michigan football podcast. We are three dudes who talk maize and blue. I'm Kalen, joined by Nate and Jack.
Heyo.
And unfortunately, we're here today to go over Michigan's loss to Ohio State. Final score, 56-27. And I don't know, guys. At this point, I'm getting kind of used to it, which is not a good thing. Jack, I know you were at the game, so let me know what your take is here.
I'm so mad. I feel bad for Shea Patterson because he's been getting shit all year long. In the last 3 games of the season, he is balling out of control. And our receivers that we've thought all year are NFL caliber receivers shit the bed on him. And not only was it them, we're just making bonehead plays on friggin' fourth downs, hitting guys out of bounds when we're already down, just not helping our case. I don't know. There's so many things. I'm sorry. It's bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Nate, what do you got?
It's kind of one of those things. I'm used to it now, right? It's been since it's like 2001. They've dominated when they got Jim Tressel. This feels like a new, it's like the 20-year drought or something like that. It just feels awful. Just critical mistakes gave them chances. Like if they just, for instance, like Khaleke Hudson. Dude, he's been doing that all season, right? You should be knowing, and you're right by the ball, right? What's the thing that they tell you as a defensive lineman? Look at the ball. Don't think about the count or any of that. Just watch the ball. Jumps off sides, and then they end up scoring a touchdown. Big plays. Defensive line was getting manhandled. But there was some positives too. I felt like Shea actually did a great job the first half, and then I think a lot of his incompletions the second were drop balls. And I was just kind of disappointed to see that happen. Yeah. But honestly, I'm kind of numb to it. It doesn't even. It's like you're just used to it, right? You're just used to it. I was more hurt last year because I really thought we had an opportunity to win that game.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's try to dive in here a little bit. I feel like, for one, we should divide this game into 2 halves, right? Because it really is a tale of 2 different games, almost.
Mm-hmm.
So let's divide it into
first quarter and second, third, and fourth quarter.
Well, let's divide it into 2 halves, and then let's look at first half offense here, right? First half offense. I don't know about you guys, but I was going this is why we hired Gaddis. And I feel so confident in this guy now. Even though we lost this game. I mean, just looking at the first half, I guess. Gaddis' offense was rolling. Shea playing lights out. I was really happy. Defensive side of the ball, I was more like, okay, we're getting pushed around. We can't seem to contain Dobbins. But I feel so confident in our offense that we can play in a shootout at this point, right? How were you guys feeling first half offense, defense?
Do you want to go, Jack?
Yeah, offense, I thought we were going to be able to hang in it. Like I said, Shea was playing well. I mean, once we... I'm so frustrated. Once we got in the red zone and we fumbled the ball,
yeah.
If we couldn't play perfect, and that's the reason I'm so upset. If we played well and didn't make mistakes, we had every opportunity to stay in this game.
Yeah.
But we started with that. We fumbled in the red zone, and then it just kind of snowballed from there, and it just went downhill. Mm-hmm. So, other than that, I think Shea played really well. I thought the play calling throughout the game was solid, and we had opportunities. It's just wide receivers were dropping the ball. Haskins on that wildcat where he could have followed Bredesen in a wide open hole. He could have had a friggin' touchdown right there.
Yeah.
But he runs to the left and follows, Ben Mace. I'm not in the game. I'm not playing, but it's just you see these things that could have been. It's just frustrating.
I was listening to In the Trenches, and John Jansen asked him specifically about that play. He was like, "What about that fourth down play in the Wildcat? How'd you feel about that play?" And he was like, "I just made a mistake, and it was on me." right?
I thought Haskins, though, besides that one play, actually did pretty well. He had a couple big touchdown runs. He had the 2-point conversion. He had
couple stiff arms there.
Couple stiff arms, like things that I thought that he has really developed.
Even late in the game, he was running for extra yards after contact, pulling guys. So I was not mad at Haskins, even though he botched that one play. I was like, you know what? He's in the game and he's really putting effort.
And he was averaging 6.5 yards a carry. I mean, again, I'm annoyed and I'm mad about the game.
Yeah.
But Haskins, I mean, I'm not going to blame it on that one play.
Right.
That's another thing. This is a thing that stood out to me.
Yeah. No.
I mean, it's on our receivers. If anything, I'm blaming anything. It's on our receivers. And I'm pissed off about it.
Well, I just don't like doing Wildcat in 4th and 1. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. No.
It had worked on a couple 2-point conversions, but I mean, you just tell them, hey, we're running the ball.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
We went to that thing with Devin Gardner, and that's exactly what he said. If you're going to run the Wildcat, you have to throw the ball at some point, because otherwise you're just signaling what you're going to do.
And that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is the perfect time to make it, at least try it to pass it, so they think about it.
Exactly.
If you're not going to pass it at all, what's the point? Shea can do that. Shea can run it behind somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Why
it could
put
have been
Haskins
a quarterback draw? Yeah. Why not? 100%. I agree with you guys. Okay, so first half of the game, it sounds like generally we were kind of pleased, right, with what we were seeing on offense. Defense was struggling. Nate, I don't know if you have any input on first half defense, but second half, I felt like the wheels started falling off, right? Shea is still trying to ball out in the third quarter, and DPJ, 2 drops. Ronnie, drop. Nico, drop, right? Stuff like that. Now, Nico, I'm like, all right, he's getting covered by Jeff Okudah, big-time DB. I get it. He's on lockdown.
But the one that he dropped was right. And it was
right there. Right.
I get it. We're trying to defend him because we love Nico, but there's no excuse for that play.
Yeah. But I'm also trying to think, like, I'm sure there's a lot of people going, why weren't we throwing it up to Nico all game? He was on lockdown by the best DB in the nation in college football or whatever, right? So let's, back off of those ideas. But the defensive line, all game, just getting absolutely bullied, right? One thing I noticed was it's like we didn't have a big D tackle to fill in some of those gaps, who's just an anchor and you can't move them or you're struggling to move them, right?
Yeah. There's other times I saw they had like 3 down linemen, and I'm just like, this is not going to work, because then you have these guards who are just going to pretty much go like, okay, I'm just going to go up, take a linebacker, and then here's 3, 5, 9 yards.
Yeah.
It was the defensive line really struggled, and then the errors on top, especially with McGrone making that late hit was pretty pathetic. And then when it was interesting when he made that hit, everybody in the stands was just like,
"What are you
Come
doing?
on, dude!"
Yeah.
Like usually, the fan base will go like, "Oh, that's a BS call, ref," and everybody just went like, "Oh,
everybody
dude!"
knew. Everybody's like, "What are you thinking?"
So blatant, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think honestly, I don't know what's going through some of the players' minds on that, but I think the players have to know, like, okay, there's all this talk, like, it's a rivalry game, we don't like you, you don't like us, but it's to the point now where you got to know, like, these guys are good. Let's stop the talking, let's just play on the field, let's play a great game of football, and let all that behind us so we can actually give ourselves a shot to win the game. I think, honestly, the offense, to me, when I look at the total game, they struggled in the second half, but they put up 27 points on this Ohio State offense, which to me is a pretty positive thing, because they have not done that all year.
Right.
I think that
no other team has done that. Yeah.
No other team has done that. And they stopped Chase Young. He was a non-factor in the game, and that's really positive.
I think he only had 2 pressures or something all game, which is huge. Now, I think we were doing that with double teams, chip blocks from either the tight end or the running back, different ways and different movements to try to confuse him and leave him off balance and things like that, and running the ball in the opposite direction. Now, what that also did was that ate up other guys and allowed other Ohio State players to shine, right? So you saw the defensive end on the other side of the line see his most sacks for the year.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I feel like anybody on their defense particularly shined. I mean, I think if you don't do that stuff, then Chase Young's going to be a monster.
Exactly.
And hit Shea, and then there's going to be a fumble or something. So I thought they did a great job. I think if you can't hold the defense, if you like holding an offense to 30 points is, you should always shoot for, okay, if we hold them to 21 points, that will at least allow our offense to get some points on board. But they literally like doubled that, almost tripled it.
Right.
And I'm with you, Nate, on this. Like, I just, their defense was nothing special.
No,
I didn't
it
see
wasn't.
anything special from their defense. It was, we made mistakes that took us out of the game. Their we could have scored 40, 50 points on their defense if we didn't screw up. So, I mean, their offense is exactly what we thought they were going to be. But their defense wasn't, which kind of, I just keep going back. We had so many chances to, stay in this game and have an opportunity to win. But
they had 396 offensive, like, all-purpose yards. That's pretty good.
yeah, and think of all the
That's
drives that ended because of mistakes or drives we could have had where we didn't have the opportunity to gain more yards. It's just there's so many those could have been skyrocketed.
No, yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of this whole game was us beating ourselves
100%.
and then putting ourselves in a bad position to succeed,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
So it's frustrating because it feels like the same old song and dance with this team, right?
Yes.
If it's not one thing, it's another. So it's frustrating, and I hate it, but hopefully we can, hopefully we can come back and figure it out. So let's try to look ahead and say, what can we actually fix to make this not happen again? What do you guys think? Is what beyond just the making mistakes, player execution, we can fix that.
Yeah.
Beyond that, what do we need to do?
I think it's something we can all. I mean, I've never really felt like we got to get rid of somebody to make a change. But if you're Don Brown and you're like one of the top DCs in the country,
Mm-hmm.
you can't allow 62 points and then 56 points to your rival. I mean, you can't do that.
And 45 to Penn State, and then a ton to
you just
Wisconsin.
can't. What are we paying him for? And again, I love Don Brown. But where's the production? There's no production there.
Yeah. If you can't be the bully who beats up on the little kids,
And then you can't hold your own against an actual opponent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No, I understand that perspective. 100%. Nate, what do you got?
Well, I know one of the reporters had asked Jim Harbaugh, is there a talent gap? Is there, like, a coaching gap? Like, what's the gap? To me, it doesn't seem like as much of a coaching gap because if you really think about it, okay, 2 coaches are now on Ohio State that were on Michigan.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we got Ed Warner, who was on
Ohio
State.
We're basically
And
trading
then
coaches back.
Don Brown and Ryan Day used to coach at the same place. And,
Boston College or something.
yeah,
like that.
and so to me, I think that it's really not a coaching gap. I think there's some player gaps, right? They obviously have some really star players on their team.
Yeah.
And, like, I think about...
And Jim can't say that in a press conference, right? Jim can't say,
Right.
well, they have better players than we
Yeah.
do. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I do think, like, with those players, we do have opportunities. Like, we have good recruiting classes. We have opportunities to, like, make big plays. But I think we really need a couple guys who are, like, that's our it guy. Every single year with Ohio State, it's like, who's our it guy? Oh, okay. We got Terrell Pryor. We got Braxton Miller. We got Maurice Claret. Just guys who just, like, it's like every year they got a running back, a quarterback, and they got a couple good defensive players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They have an it guy. Like, on us, for our team, I look like, okay, we have some guys who are, like, good. But, like, our 5 stars really going, like, dude, this is insane. The only player I really remember who made a huge impact on games felt like Devin Bush.
No, that's what I was going to say, Devin Bush.
Just Devin Bush.
Yeah.
And, I even think, like, guys like Jabril Peppers were really good, but, it wasn't like he was making or breaking the game.
Yeah.
I felt like Devin Bush, without him, he was a scary guy.
Yeah, he was a dude. He was
Yeah.
one of those dudes. And
Yeah.
like the thing that we had, like we've had some of those guys on defense, right? Like we've had Peppers, we've had Bush, we've had Rashawn Gary, where maybe his stats aren't showing it, but
They had to plan for him, yeah.
Yeah. So he's allowing other guys to be able to produce because he's taking double teams or whatever it may be. I mean, even Chase Winovich, like we've had all those guys on defense. We have not had that on offense.
Right.
Yeah.
We have not had that on
so
offense.
when we've given ourselves a chance by being able to stop them, think 2016, even 2017, our offense has just been non-existent, basically, right? Our offense in 2016 is Wilton Spate with 2 interceptions in the game, right? So
I think it was 3.
or whatever. Yeah, John O'Corn with 5.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's a huge gap, right? The quarterback gap.
Yeah.
Like, I think Shea did a great job yesterday. I'm not taking anything off him.
No.
But if you talk about last 20 years, we're talking about Braxton Miller or John Navarre.
Braxton Miller.
Yeah.
Braxton Miller.
John Navarre is my favorite.
Or Troy Smith. Troy Smith.
Yes. Yeah.
John Navarre, right?
Yeah.
Who'd you taking? Taking Troy Smith.
Yeah.
You know, you taking Tate Forcier, or are you going to take, JT Barrett?
I'm taking Tate the first 4 games of the year, man. He was in the
Heisman race,
He was juking out Notre Dame guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, you take their quarterback every single time.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I mean, we've had some great defensive players here and there, but I just don't feel like we have, besides Devin Bush, we've had a guy who's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. Like, this guy will win us the game.
Yeah.
Their guy, J.K. Dobbins. And you saw it as a freshman, you're like, that guy's shifty.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
You know, they got Ezekiel Elliott. Now we got to deal with this guy another year.
Yeah.
There's always, every time I'm watching this game, I always think, oh, now we got to deal with another dude for 2 more years.
Yeah.
Now it's their wide receiver. What's his name?
Olave.
Well, Olave and Will
What's his name? I have no
Oh,
idea.
that guy you're talking about. Hold on, I'll pull it up right now.
Wilson or Ruck?
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
He had 3 catches for 118 yards and a
Yeah.
touchdown.
He's a freshman. You just go like, oh, we got to deal
And
with
that was
guy.
Olave last year.
Yeah, and then you go like,
yeah.
oh, we got to deal with Justin Fields again, and then you start going like, no, we're not going to win next year. Oh, we're playing away. No. So there's like that whole thing to it. I really do believe that there is opportunity next year to win. I'm not saying like
We can't.
we're incapable of winning the game,
Right.
but they really have to make some strides at like going after some huge big time players. Like
Right.
I'm sure they're trying, but like you look at the top 100 for 2020 or class, you're going like, well, you know, like you really gotta, if you want to be a championship caliber program, you have to have top 5 recruiting classes.
Yes.
What does every single championship team have? They have a quarterback who can run and pass. They have a stellar running back who they can just give him 20, 30 carries a game if they need to count on him. Right? And then they have a spread offense. So there are trends that, like, I like what Jim Harbaugh's done. Okay, we're getting a spread. Okay, we have 2 quarterbacks next year who can run and pass the ball and have a good arm. We have running backs we can count on. So I do see us like moving in a positive trend.
Right.
It's just these little gaps, like our defensive line. We don't have anybody recruited for our defensive line next year.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, you know. So we need to just keep
Yeah.
getting better.
I'm 100% agree with you. And what angers me is now the narrative has turned towards we need to get rid of Don Brown. He's given up way too many points and blah, blah, blah. And my whole thing is, what's the old saying? It's the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's, right? It's the players that we have. It's our personnel that's unable to stop fundamentally better players. That's what it is at the end of the day, right? And so we need to recruit better personnel to compete against them because they're already recruiting top of the line kind of players, right?
And then go ahead.
Oh, and we might have some of those players, but we don't have all of them that we need to combat what they have, right? Jack, go ahead.
So what? And I'm with you. Like I don't want to say like fire Don Brown, like do anything like that. But whose responsibility is that to get those guys right? Like it's supposed to be Don. Like he's supposed to be recruiting these guys that we need. Like if we need a D line, he needs to recruit a D line.
This is his 4th year, right?
Right.
Yeah. So and the whole thing too is
it 4th year or 3rd year?
I think this is 4th. And if you're going to win, you have to win.
Durkin for 1 year.
Yeah.
And then did we get?
And then we got Don.
Don right after that. Okay.
We need to win at least every 4 years because then at least you can say, well, I had a really good recruiting class 4 years ago. I developed them, and now they're awesome, right? Yeah. And then you're kind of in a Michigan State kind of trend, right? Yeah. Or a Wisconsin kind of trend.
And who are our guys last year? We had Mozzie Smith and Chris Hinton. Those were our 2 D linemen, right?
And they played a little.
Which I feel like he did a great job recruiting those guys.
Yeah.
But why are we not? We got to do that every year, right? Like I mean,
pretty much, yeah.
We have to.
Yeah, it's a little bit too of based on experience. Oh, last year they destroyed us with crossing routes. So now, this year, we got pretty good at getting rid of some of those crossing routes. And then...
Kill some deep ball.
Yeah. Okay, now we're going to do deep ball and run the read option with JK, right? Or whatever. And it's like we can't do it.
They've got an answer for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we always have to go back to Ohio State is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And like for us to expect ourselves to beat them it's unrealistic.
It is. Yeah.
But the thing that makes me upset, and it is unrealistic for us to expect to beat them, is we killed ourselves in that game.
Yeah.
And that's why it wasn't even close.
It's bad to lose, but it's even worse to lose to yourself.
Right.
So yeah.
Like at least if we're competing and we lose, then whatever. Like we competed, and I'm satisfied with that. Maybe not everybody else is, but I'll be satisfied with that against that team.
Yeah. Right.
But if we're just shooting ourselves in the foot, like play after play after play after play, that's where I get frustrated.
Yeah. So I think we need to get better on the recruiting trail. We need to get better at improving our players, right? Seeing guys actually improve year to year, and then some of that will lead to wins on the football field, or if not wins,
Specifically wins against Ohio State.
at least being competitive, right?
I'm going to say one other thing we need to get better at, and this is something that's not player-oriented. I think we need to get better as a fan base.
100%.
Right? Like, I watched the Auburn-Alabama game last night.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, there was not a lot of Alabama fans there because nobody sold their tickets to anybody who was not for Auburn.
Yeah.
Right? People need to just go like, look at, I know we're going up against, Goliath, but we need to make sure that we're not selling our tickets, we're supporting our team. I'm so tired of seeing Ohio State fans must have been 30,000 fans there.
I was in the stadium, and everywhere I looked, there was red. I mean, it looked behind me. Like, and I was 50 rows up from the field, and majority of what I saw was red.
Yeah. And I know a lot of that is because people have disbelief, so they want to sell their tickets, but just don't do it for 1 year. Just go like, we're going to, like, there should be...
It's barely a home field advantage.
And there needs to be things, too, like, I don't know why the athletic department doesn't go like, okay, we need to do everything we can to support these guys when it comes to things like, let's make the stadium more exciting. I love the traditions. I love the marching band. Let's make this 21st century fun for people, right? Let's get the fireworks going. Let's get the lights going.
Yeah,
let's do all the stuff. Make it a show so people want to go to the game besides just the game. Let's go to the game, People want some more entertainment. You got to make it fun for people, right? Let's do that. Let's add a mascot. I'll be the mascot. I'll do it. I'll dress up like you put me whatever you want. I'll dress it up.
Don't care.
I don't care. I'll go out there and I'll be screaming for Michigan, right? When people are at the game, they need to be screaming their heads off, right? They need to be screaming their heads off, and they should be just absolutely ridiculous, right? Ohio State fans are so ridiculous. When you drive down there to Ohio, you get your fucking car keyed, right? Like, I'm not saying we should do that. Right. I'm not saying we should do that.
But they've got a different passion.
Maybe get like some pillows on. Just people are like, who's that guy?
Dude, even that. Like I was telling our buddy Patty, man. I'm like, I told him, I said, look up Michigan's locker room. Just Google search it. Look at an image. Yeah. Now look at Texas's locker room.
Yeah.
Look at Ohio State's locker room. Like we watched a tour. I mean, like those locker rooms are built for kids and used as a recruiting tactic to bring them to a school. We've got this old school. I mean, I understand we did the upgrade to our weight room and all that stuff, and it looks great. But you tell me Michigan doesn't have the money to be able to build the dopest locker room in all of college football?
Jimmy could do it himself.
Why are we not doing
he's
that?
He's getting $7 million a year, dude.
Right.
Jim could hire subcontractors to build the locker room.
Why are we not trying to have the best of the best of the best in everything?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
That's how we have to. That's how we compete.
Yes. That's how you sell it, right? I think there's certain things that why is it that Michigan can never coordinate rows based on colors and stuff like that? We see Iowa do it.
Yeah.
Iowa,
Penn State,
they all do it, right? Why is it that nobody's not everybody? You look at Michigan stadiums, there's gray, blue, yellow. Right. It just looks like a Where's Waldo thing, right? It's ridiculous. Everybody should be dressed in yellow one day. Everybody should just be in blue one day. You can make it different colors of blue. I think there needs to be I think you can still keep all the traditions that are so great to Michigan, but you can also upgrade things and make new traditions, right? Let's build a deck, dude. Let's build it. Why is it that you go into the lower bowl and you're literally packed like a can of sardines?
Oh.
I brought my buddy.
I was sitting sideways. I was standing sideways. I couldn't. This girl, it was ridiculous.
My buddy at work, he's Korean. We went to the soccer game this summer, and he was like excited. He's like, dude, this could be a huge stadium. He walks in, he's like, it's really not that big. I was like, yeah, he's just like, I thought they seated like 110,000 people here. I was like, yeah, they do, but they just all cram them. Like, you see the seats? Like, let's make some real seats for the old people who want to actually sit down and watch the game. I'm totally fine with that. I understand my parents like to go to games. They don't want to be standing up.
Yeah.
But let's take some seats out of lower bowl. Let's build a deck. Let's make the noise. Like, let's make this jumping. Like, you want to win the game, you can't do it by just being the same, right?
Yeah. Michigan, I mean, they have a massive checkbook, basically, and they can do all these things, and then they choose to do, like, very bizarro things that are inconsequential to recruiting or winning or anything that actually matters, right? So I think they need to orient some of their stuff towards the things you're saying. Some of it I don't think is going to happen for a long time. I think they need to focus on getting Wi-Fi in the stadium before they start building decks.
Just things like that, dude.
It's little things. Yeah. Right?
People go like, I don't want to go to the game because I don't have Wi-Fi, you know?
Oh, solve the problem then. Give them freaking Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Some of it's easy. I mean, okay, here's another thing we can discuss. Justin Fields, after the game, said, I think we just take the rivalry more seriously than they do. Do you guys think
Chuck Woodson said the same thing.
You think that's truth to that?
There has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, even hearing Urban Meyer talk about it, and the way you were saying it, I mean, I'm saying it all season. Nate says things, I don't agree with him right away, but they come to the light, and I'm like, you've been right all along. Where he's saying, like, Ohio State could lose to Michigan and win a national title, and they're all, like, they take it so seriously down there that it just ruins their entire season.
Right.
Where for us, like, it's like, it ruins our season. Maybe that's just the fans, but it's something in that program where they don't take it as seriously as Ohio State does, and it's showing. I mean,
I agree.
It's 20 years and we've beat them.
I mean, that's twice. One of the when he said that, I like hated to hear that, but I was like, there has to be some truth to it, man. Urban Meyer's saying like, I have a coach that only watches Michigan film all year, or they have like the Michigan drills every practice where they play against Michigan.
He's like, I'll check in with that coach and I'll see what they're doing.
I'm like, dude, now maybe we do that, and I just don't know about it.
Right?
Like, what reminded me, the only thing I can think of in Michigan's history where they did something similar was when Bo Schembechler put up like 59 or something on their jerseys or practice jerseys. Dude, they should have their practice jerseys have 62 on the back and 56 on the front.
Yeah.
And they should deal with that every year. And it was really frustrating to me because I love a lot of the players, but like when you're posting stuff on Instagram after, like, look at dude, it's like Conor McGregor when he loses a fight to Mayweather, or like it's like you can't just start talking after you've been talking and then all of a sudden you lose and then you're gonna come out and go like, oh yeah, you
can't do it.
It's like, dude, I saw like players post stuff that other people's like, oh that's my guy. It just seemed really like selfish.
Oh,
I was
100%.
like, you guys lost collectively as a team,
to Ohio State,
and then you're posting stuff like about yourself.
Yeah,
I'm like, you should all know like, dude, this game is more than just yourself. It's about you guys, and you can be the team that sets the trend right. Here's the thing I think is a great selling point to a lot of recruits. Look we've messed up. We've been a program that has not been able to get our stuff right since 2001, right? But you can be the class that changes everything. You can be the class that people look back on and go, the 1969 class. And people go like, that class was legendary. Right? You can be that team, right? And you guys need to believe in yourselves to actually think that it's possible, right? And don't be posting anything on Instagram going like, look, we messed up. Next year, we're coming for them, right? Yeah. Next year, we're not going to get blown out. Like, and I can say, like, if the team comes out, makes it a close game, like the 2016 game, I can say, like, look, man, that team was balling. Yeah. But, like, these last 2 years, with this type of talent, and you guys don't come up, you don't show up, dropping balls, making mistakes.
It's crazy.
That's on you, man. And you got to take that for what it is.
Yeah. And that taste is going to be in your mouth for 51 weeks until you get a chance to come back next year and hopefully redeem yourself, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it sticks with you and it's not easy.
But you use that to fuel the fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Get better. Do what you have to do so you don't have to live with that. So you can be that team that you're saying that sets the trend moving forward. That, hey, this is a rivalry. It's not just a beat down every year. I texted you guys after the game. I was like, if this was going to be like every year, let's just play in week 1, get it out of the way. Then we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it.
To the point where I'm like, I don't even want to play this game anymore. Because it's so embarrassing and it's so like terrible for the program.
Yeah.
Because everybody gets their hypes up so much that this is going to be a year and they lose again. It might just be better to pull a Notre Dame, take a 10-year break, and just go like, we'll see you in 10 years. Hopefully things will balance out. Right?
And then,
Right?
I said that to somebody earlier today, somebody at work, and I'm 100% for it. I'm sick of being embarrassed every year where they take the game seriously and we don't, and it shows. And if we're not going to take it seriously, those guys don't deserve to play Ohio State for that opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting question, I guess. At what point does a rivalry stop being a rivalry? Has that ever happened to any other team where maybe they had some sort of rivalry, somebody just dominated, and then they just went like, we're done?
That's what I'm curious about. I feel like it's got to be getting to that point.
There's like rivalries where I see, like in-state rivals will always be in-state rivals because there's just so many people in that area who are you went to different schools, right? That will always be a thing, but like, I watched like Oklahoma State, Oklahoma last night. I'm like, dude, there's no way the OK State fans know that they're going to win this game.
Yeah.
Like honestly, to the point, it's been so bad the last 20 years where people start to question, like, is this really the best? People are saying, like, the Iron Bowl is way better. And honestly, they're kind of right because guess what? Their fans care more.
Look at the game last night.
The game last night was
fun for me to watch.
Insane, especially, like, it was still intense even when Alabama's winning all these championships, right?
Yeah.
They still won games.
Yeah.
Here's a stat for how bad it can get, right? Florida, Kentucky is a rivalry game, evidently. Kentucky was on a 28-game losing streak from 1987 to 2014.
Wow. So, and it can get that bad with this game.
It can be 30 years where you don't win. Yeah. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, man. So, we're getting ahead of ourselves, right? Technically, last time we won was 2011. And
that was a fluky, like, they were 6-6 that year.
Yeah.
Like, we were lucky.
Hey, a win's a win.
Believe me, I'll take it. I'll take it. We were at that game. It was pretty great, but...
Yeah. So we're really only 8 years behind, not 28 years.
Yeah.
So we might be getting bent out of shape for no reason. But still, we're coming up on 10 years here, and... to be honest, it's not looking too great for next year.
No.
And so, yeah.
Can I say something, though? I don't want the fan base to, like, try and, like, jump ship. Like, this is what we have coaches. The last thing you want is things to start getting out of hand. You want to keep the consistency going with the coaches. I think that there are a lot of positive stuff that happened this season, right? The team did get better. Gaddis did get better at play calling, right? Yeah. Like, there's a lot of positive things. I want them to keep doing it and don't jump train because this is an absolute mountain that they have to climb.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just...
But people climb mountains, man.
Yeah.
So it can happen. I'm not trying to get my hopes up, but I'm just saying, it looks hard. It's tough. It's going to take a lot of work. But it can happen, right? And
that's what the thing is with this game.
Yeah.
People said, like, it can happen. You can win the game.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe next year it's like they can start to go like, yeah, we can actually win.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. There's still hope, so I don't want it to be like, I don't want people to go like, fire Harbaugh. It's like, dude, shut up. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't won against Ohio State. It's like, dude, there is some things like, the brand, like, if that was Alabama and they were number one, people would be like, we're not going to win.
Yeah.
But there's this whole thing, like, the brand somehow, look at, dude, like, the brand, Michigan brand, like, it's all great, but really at the end of the day, it's these players versus those players, and these coaches versus those coaches, let them battle it out, right? And I know but, like, if that was any number one team that we were going to play, right, the expectation to win is obviously there, but the to be let down and feel like you've been betrayed or something,
Yeah.
and just whining like a baby that we lost the game to. There's also that. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about everything.
Okay. Well, the first step towards building up after this loss and moving on and coming back to win next year is the bowl game. If we can come out in this bowl game and play really well, it can set a good precedent for next year, right? So,
I thought you were about to say if we can go out and play Florida again.
God,
No.
play Florida again.
No.
Oh, God.
No, I think you make a good point. Sorry to
no, but based on where I was looking at the bowl game projections, where I mostly see is the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing a lot.
And so it's
I've also seen the Quick Blame Bowl, which is in Detroit, and I would be okay with that.
Ooh.
Playing Boston College. So, hey, I'll take a W, man. We just need to win.
We just need a W.
We just need to win. Because, I mean, honestly, like, I agree with what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
if we, go out in the bowl game, dominate, puts our program in the right direction. But also, it's like, we have a lot of guys are going to be gone next year, right?
Plus, it would be a bowl game win for Jim Harbaugh. That would be big.
Yeah, because we haven't had one since Florida in 2016 year? 2015
15.
season?
Since his first year.
Yeah.
We're 0-4 in bowl games or whatever.
Yeah,
But that's the other thing. A lot of the fan base has expectations that we're supposed to. This is Michigan, some sort of deity that it is, and that we should therefore be winning 12 games a year. Like
Right.
no. Like look at the history. Jim Harbaugh is on pace with Bo Schembechler and all these. Bo Schembechler lost like how many bowl games? That dude was like notorious for he had like 7 straight bowl losses. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, he's literally been the same coach we've seen.
That's
it's
true.
just a couple games like here and there, Michigan State and Ohio State. People start throwing the flag. This is ridiculous. This shouldn't happen. It's like, dude, you got to understand where our program was. You got to understand the history of the program. Like,
No, I think, though, the college football has become very different from what it was. It was much more regional back then, right? And now it's become such a national kind of a sport. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to compete at that national level, which is what you're saying you want to do,
Right.
you got to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is you got to win on the big stage. One of those is versus your rivals. Another of those is the bowl games. So for us, in our bowl game, if we play, we're probably going to play some Pac-12 team, right? One Pac-12 team might make it in the playoff. Could be Utah.
Could be Utah. If they beat Oregon, I think they're in.
Yeah. And so
Unless Georgia beats LSU.
and if we don't play them, then Oregon would get a New Year's Six game.
Yeah.
And so then we play the third place Pac-12 team, Washington or USC. So that's kind of what we're looking at.
we get to play Washington back to back.
Yeah, because then we open.
Wow,
it with
yeah.
Washington.
That'd be interesting.
So I don't know if they would go for that.
Yeah.
They might.
I'd like
might
to
not.
see us play USC.
Yeah, so we might play USC, which we would have a real shot, honestly.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I'd love to see Shea go out with a win.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, me too.
So if we could go
we've
out
talked our
and-
shit, but he fought his ass off the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 really important games.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, in the bowl game, I say let Shea play a half, let whoever else play the second half, because some of those guys need some snaps. Need some
Well, yeah, I
reps.
mean, we need McCaffrey and Milton to get some snaps.
Yeah.
He's going to be number 1 next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those Mozzie Smith, Chris Hinton,
Yeah.
those
young guys
defensive
on the line.
guys. Yeah, let them play. But yeah, if we can go out and play a bowl game and get a win, that would be huge momentum for our program. I feel like moving into the off-season recruiting, and then moving into next season. Any thoughts on that bowl game postseason play?
There's one team I really don't want to see them play is Auburn.
Yeah,
Because Auburn actually is pretty good and they have a really good defensive lineman. I want to play somebody who they can go like we can actually have a shot at beating this team. I don't want it to be like some SEC team, like they put us against Florida again. I think they're pretty good. I just want to play someone who's like, we can actually win this game. That's why I think playing a Pac-12 or an ACC team would be nice.
One other thing, too, is like, going off of what you said, like, I mean, how would you feel about playing Auburn before the Ohio State game? Like, before we saw that Ohio State game being played, if we said we're going to play Auburn in the bowl game, how would you have felt about it before that?
I still wouldn't want to play them.
No?
Just because I want them to play a team like Virginia, where they're like 10-3.
You want a cupcake game.
I want a cupcake game.
I get it, dude.
Let me tell you why I want
but
a cupcake game.
I still want us to, like, have a game where we can, like...
Play
Because if we are
legit
going to build
team.
if we are going to build momentum in next year, playing a cupcake game isn't really going to do shit for us.
Yeah, but I think if they lose the game, right? Then people start going, well, now you didn't have
Gotta
a
get rid
10-win
of
season.
Harbaugh on all
You got to
this
get
shit.
rid of Harbaugh, all this stuff. So I don't want that to be the narrative, right? Because we know that the
Yeah.
recruits listen to these narratives,
Yeah.
and then they make decisions on them. So I want them to get 10 wins so the note is positive. They can say, look at Jim Harbaugh hasn't beaten Ohio State, but he has had a lot of 10-win seasons.
See, I think the Jim Harbaugh fire him conversation doesn't exist anymore. I think that they've doubled down so hard on him that people are like, they're not going to get rid of Jim Harbaugh. They might get rid of coordinators or other coaches, but Jim is there. I think they're pretty well cemented in that. He would have to go win 3 games for them to start thinking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you. I think that's what they're doing, but I just don't want. I'm more worried about.
We don't
the
want
recruits.
that to be said. Yeah.
I don't want it to
We
be
don't want
said.
that
I
on
don't
the
want the
media.
recruits
Yeah.
to hear it, and I don't
Yeah.
want them to believe it.
Yeah, I think Joel Klatt said it last year. He said Jim Harbaugh is dangerously close to falling into a Mike Leach category, which I kind of see starting to happen, right? Unable to beat his rival a little bit, has a down year, has an up year. You know what I mean? So that's not where you want to be for sure. So that's why I think winning the bowl game is huge, because it's on a national stage and it sets a precedent for next year. And it lets people know, hey, we're here to play. And just because we lost one game doesn't define our whole program.
See, that's why I want us to play a good team like that, like Auburn, and have a chance to, reset that narrative, right? Okay, they lost to Ohio State. They're really fucking good. And now they just beat and also a very good team.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where I'd rather at
I see
least
what
have
you're
I want us to play a good team and I want us to beat them. I do still think we could. I think we do have the talent. We beat ourselves against Ohio State. It was it looked, we were watching the team that we saw in the beginning of the year.
In some ways, yeah.
And where not everybody was clicking, where the receivers, in the beginning of the year were, guys we thought we could count on, be but they're just not getting the ball. Now they're getting the ball, but they're dropping passes, and Shea's doing really well. So if we play a team like Auburn, if we play anybody in the country other than Ohio State, and we can play as an entire team, I think we can beat them. But we saw that we beat ourselves, and we all can agree on that, and it's tough. It's just tough.
It's oddly positive coming off of this loss.
I know. I'm trying to reset back to reality where Ohio State's gonna they're just good.
They're number
just
one
good.
team.
They're one of the best teams I may have ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to go back to that and just remember that and not go too far off the deep end, because all the rest of us Michigan fans as a fan base, stuff on social media, everybody else is. And I'm trying to bring it back, but I'm also so bipolar going both ways with it. So
Dude, yeah.
it's tough being a Michigan fan.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we didn't really talk about that upset, right? Auburn, Alabama.
Love to see Bama not in the playoff.
Wow.
I'm hoping Oklahoma does not get into the playoff
And plays.
Bama
Yeah.
in a New Year's Six game. That would be fun.
That's what I want, yeah.
I
wanna
want to see that.
That Jalen matchup
Yeah.
That'd be
with
pretty
Alabama.
sweet. Because he has probably a shot at beating them.
He does.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, their Alabama will still put up 40-some points.
Yeah,
but
but Oklahoma could as well. Yeah,
Can too, yeah.
Yeah, what are the rankings? Does anybody know? Or does anybody have them?
think
AP
Utah's-
came out. I think Utah's number 5. Michigan dropped to 17,
Oh, really?
which is fair. More than fair, I think.
I was thinking more like 15. I guess there's not much difference, though.
So it's LSU number 1, Ohio State number 2. Again, this is the AP poll. Clemson number 3, Georgia number 4. So Ohio State, we can safely assume, is going to win their championship, Big Ten conference championship
Against
game.
Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Safely assume Clemson's going to win over Virginia, who I think they're playing.
Okay. It's LSU, Georgia.
LSU,
match.
Georgia. So if Georgia wins that game, LSU's not dropping out of the playoff. Basically, Georgia would probably go to number 3, and then LSU would go to number 4 at that point, I would assume. Or maybe LSU would go to 3 and Georgia would stay at 4. But if Georgia loses or Georgia beats LSU in that conference title game, they're not kicking LSU out. There's no way to kick LSU out of the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, they already set a precedent that you don't have to win your conference, right?
Yeah.
So,
And the LSU's been so dominant all year.
I would guess it
I just
depends
can't
on
see-
how they lost, right? If
I think
lost
they could get blown out, and I think they could stay in there.
If they lost 50-0, you think they would keep them in there?
Based off of their work they did all season, yeah.
and not let this Utah team in has a same record, won their conference.
But they just don't have any, I don't know. I just don't think Utah has enough. Utah's good wins don't stack up to LSU's good wins.
Or even Oklahoma.
I think Oklahoma would
I don't
get
even
them.
see. I don't know.
Because if LSU lost, that would be very chaotic for all of these teams.
Right.
I feel like.
Because I don't think you can put OU over Utah.
Who's Utah's lost to?
USC.
Yeah.
Right.
Early in the season.
Yeah. I think that they would more than likely put in Oklahoma, just because they had a big win right against Oklahoma State.
So you guys think LSU could get kicked out?
What?
In the playoff?
If they got absolutely destroyed.
Well,
I just think there's no way. I think they'd feel a lot of pressure too, but I don't think they could.
Because if their loss was so bad that it was like,
Well,
worse than Utah's loss to USC or worse than Oklahoma's loss earlier in the season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then they would be like, all right, how do these games match up? Blah, blah, blah.
I'm assuming that all those three teams win out.
Yeah.
Who gets the fourth spot? I think Oklahoma would get it over Utah because it's easier to sell to people to watch the game.
Yeah.
Right? You have Jalen Hurts versus Ohio State, right? So I think Utah, I don't think anybody's going to watch Utah play.
Strange, too. Another one is Baylor, right?
Which is wrong.
Because Baylor and Oklahoma are going to play each other in the Pac-12 or Big 12 championship game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they have a shot? Because Baylor's only loss is to Oklahoma, right? So if they beat Oklahoma in the championship game, now they're 12-1. Won their conference.
And beat the team they lost.
Yeah, they beat the team they lost to. I mean, that's where I think they could jump into that.
I would say that gives them a good shot.
Because if you avenge a loss, that's saying a lot more than,
So this is what makes me sad as a Michigan fan, because I feel like if we were to play Auburn, I'd be like, oh, that'd be a tough game. If we were to play Baylor, I'd be like, we could beat them.
Yeah.
We could beat Baylor.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And I feel like you always get this one team who waltzes into the championship game. Or to a playoff. It's like, one year it's like,
Usually Clemson.
Well, Clemson obviously gets a walk in, but they're still like a good team.
Yeah, but they're a good team.
But it's like Washington. It's like they really did not deserve to play Alabama, and I don't know, even Michigan State
or Ohio State. I think it was 3 years in a row where teams got blown out in the semifinal.
It's rough. Oof. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of how it's looking, at least in the top 6 or whatever we were looking at. It's too bad Michigan's not up there.
I know.
Man.
One day, I feel like I'm a Cubs fan pretty much. Like
the curse.
It's like, okay, if Cubs fans went through it, then
maybe I'll get a championship in my lifetime.
Maybe it's even worse than that. I literally think
dude, it's not worse than a Cubs fan, dude. They didn't win for 100 years.
This is what I'm saying. Like, it's just worse the fact that not even just championship. I just hope that I get to see them beat Ohio State before I die. Yeah. That's why I'm like, I'm like, dude, hopefully I don't get in a car accident or something like that. Hopefully I can make it to next year to see them win. That's why I'm like, because it's been so long.
Oh no.
Well, on a bright note for Michigan sports, basketball team might be ranked number 1.
Whoa, yeah.
Ranked number 1?
Yeah, that's what did you watch the games at all?
I watched the games, but
they've got the best resume right now out of any team in college basketball. Wow. And they play Louisville, who will probably be ranked number 1 when we play them, but Michigan might be top 5. Going from unranked to top 5. We beat Louisville. We're number 1 team in the country.
Dude, Juwan was...
We're a basketball school. Let's go.
Dude, Michigan's a basketball school now. It really is.
I mean, it really is.
What happened?
Yeah.
I love it.
No, it's awesome. I mean, those wins over UNC and Gonzaga, I was like, whoa.
Holy shit.
Where did this come from?
Yeah.
First couple games
Eli
of the
Brooks
year.
is somebody we can rely on now? Last year, I was like, Jesus, this guy. Yeah. And he's taking shots this year. I'm like closing my eyes. I'm like, oh, he's making them. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man.
No, that's great. I love seeing it. And you see Juwan dancing with his team afterwards.
Oh, yeah. It was a Cabbage Patch.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's awesome.
Oh, wow. We probably won't have another podcast for a few weeks. Until we figure out who we're playing in the bowl game.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do, right? You guys want to take a couple weeks off and come back.
Yeah,
Maybe do like a
maybe
bowl
we'll
game
all
preview
read.
and a post game or something.
Yeah, maybe
Sounds
we'll all
good.
read Basketball for Dummies and become a mystery basketball podcast.
Yeah.
Don't set your hopes on that, but we might.
Who knows? All right. Well, thanks for checking us out. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts,
Spotify.
Spotify. Yeah. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.